Hi, it's the Crafty Co with a tutorial on repairing a hole in a granny blanket. As you can see, this blanket has a very large hole in it. This could be due to age or perhaps an end unravelling in the wash. So let me show you how we can repair it to look as good as new. Here's what you need. Oddments of matching wool. If it's an old blanket, you may not be able to match it exactly, so just try and get as close to the colour as you can. Safety pins. If the blanket has extensive damage, you will need quite a few of these. Scissors to cut the yarn. A crochet hook that is the right gauge for the weight of yarn, and a smaller hook for repairing the stitches. And finally, a wool darning needle to sew in the ends. The first thing we need to do is secure any loose stitches so no more damage is done. Take a safety pin and thread it through the bottom of one of your stitches, making sure you go through all of the loops. The stitches that are undone at the bottom will all need to be secured with safety pins. Those that have come away from the stitch above will need to be carefully unpicked. Take care with the ones where the loose strand is to the left, as they pull apart easily. You need to undo these ones until you have enough length of yarn to attach a new strand. It's a good idea to secure these with a safety pin too. Work around the affected area until you have secured all of the broken stitches. With this stitch, I was able to thread the safety pin through before unpicking the broken strand. Don't worry if you need to cut some of the yarn if it's tangled, just make sure you don't accidentally cut the bottom of the stitch. If it's an old blanket that has been washed and well used, you may find it's quite difficult to unpick. It's well worth taking your time and gently teasing the strands apart. Don't be tempted to tug at the stitches or you will end up with more damage to repair. When unpicking stitches where the broken strand is on the right, you will find they are harder to unpick. Due to the way the blanket has been made, these stitches naturally want to secure themselves. Again, don't be tempted to tug at them. Ease them gently, unpicking them until you have enough length to tie on a new strand. Having secured all the broken stitches, we are ready to mend each row. Always work from the inner rows to the outer. Tie on a new strand of wool and using a hook suitable for the yarn, work on the stitch at the right as we will be working right to left. This one is easy to repair as we need to work a complete stitch to the left. The blanket is worked with 3 UK trebles in each space, so that's what I need to do. Don't worry for the moment that it's not attached to the row above. We will finish repairing this row first. Carefully work past the join, and you will now be using the new strand, so you need to make sure that you have enough to complete this row. The next stitch to be repaired already has 1 treble in it, so I only need to work 2 more in this stitch. To complete the repair on this row, all I need to do is work a slip stitch into the top of the treble that was already in this space. Cut the yarn and pull through to secure, and that row is now as good as new. The next row is a bit more tricky as you need to join the two rows together. You will see that I needed to unpick the stitch a little bit more as the strand wasn't quite long enough for me to add a new length onto. For this row we need to attach the yellow row to the green row, and for this we will be using the smaller hook. These loose trebles need to be attached to the stitch below. Insert the larger hook, and as there is already one treble in this space, work a further 2 trebles to complete the pattern. We now need to join these stitches to the row below, in a way so people won't know there was ever a problem with that row. Carefully undo the safety pin, making sure you don't disturb the loops too much. If it's your first time of repairing, you may find it easier to work a 1 chain here, as we will be working from the left for the next part. Personally, I don't work a 1 chain between my stitches. You need to study your blanket to see exactly what has been worked on each row so you can copy the sequence. It may be that you actually need to work 1, 2 or even 3 chains here. Now taking the smaller hook, thread it from left to right through the bottom of the loops, making sure that you don't miss any. Now insert your hook back into the loop to the right and pull it tight so it doesn't slip off the hook. Keeping it pulled tight, pull the hook to the left and through the loops so that the right hand loop is the only one left on the hook. You can see that we have now recreated the stitch that would have been there before there was a hole. Take out the small hook and replace it with the correct tension hook and work the sequence that is required in the next space. We now need to do the same again with this stitch. Personally, I like to finish in the middle of a sequence. So here I'm just undoing one of the stitches so that all I have to do is work one treble in the stitch and close the row with a slip stitch into the top of the middle treble. Once all the ends have been sewn in, I hope you'll agree it really does look as good as new. I hope this helps, and we'll be back soon with some more top tips.